Hey, what's up? Hello, Super Simps, and welcome back to another episode of SimplyPodLogical, a Simply Logical podcast.
Hello to everyone and their loved ones.
Yes, so Cristine, the internet thinks we have a perfect relationship, but...
Is the internet always right?
But the truth is, Menchie and I have a perfect relationship.
Honestly, cannot deny. No lies detected. Menchie on your shoulders every morning. It's the sweetest thing I've ever seen. I'm jealous.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I think we have the perfect relationship. You know, sometimes I think like the day I met you, sometimes I think maybe that was the day I either died or was like plugged into a simulation. Because everything since then has just been like this sort of perfect reality, and it doesn't seem like real.
So what did you do wrong recently?
What did I do wrong?
Well, because you're sucking up to me right now. So I'm like, what happened?
Well, no, I'm just trying to...
You watched a lot of hockey. That's what you've been doing.
Is that bad?
No, but you're just ignoring me.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to you 24 hours a day.
Just Menchie.
Because that would be a healthy relationship.
Well, I mean, we're stuck here 24 hours a day together.
Anyway, I was just trying to say, since our relationship is so perfect, we're in a good position to give relationship advice to people who have less perfect relationships.
Sarcasm was detected, just to be clear for those.
We will consider these people and do them the favor of giving our opinion to them.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So this podcast of, this episode of Simply Podlogical is sponsored by our relationship. Subscribe to become a member of our relationship. Isn't that what people say? Subscribe to join our family. Well, guess what you can do today, kids? Subscribe to join our relationship.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Okay, but we're gonna look through Reddit to look for people who have less perfect relationships than us.
Okay, stop.
And give them some advice.
It's people who have funny things to say. Not always funny, sometimes kind of sad, but interesting things to say about relationships. Whether or not they're all factual or true, I don't know. Because sometimes I read these Reddit posts that you've uncovered from the deep, dark depths of the internet. And I'm like, is this real or is this just someone kind of trolling Reddit? So
yeah, these could be all made up. But
yeah.
I like to read them and just think about, how much better our relationship is than these people.
Okay, you're just being annoying. Just start, Ben. Ben,
right.
Stop.
First one, I'm a 19-year-old woman. My boyfriend, who's a 19-year-old guy, edits my appearance in his posts.
Ooh.
So I don't have Instagram, but he's always had permission to post photos of me. Anyway, my friend was on her phone and I saw one of his pictures pop up. I asked her to go into his account and every single picture of us was edited. Not extremely, and he edits himself too. But the stuff he does for me is a bit insulting. My skin is paler, my boobs are bigger, I'm smiling with teeth, completely clear face. He edits himself too, but not to the extent that he edits me. I'm pretty insulted by this. Is natural me not good enough for you? But at the same time, I'm wondering if he's just really insecure and I'm being roped into it. Should I approach this gently?
Wow. I'm just like shocked that someone would do this to another person. To some extent, I can understand you editing yourself because of the pressures of social media and how other people perceive you. And I'm not denying that is a reality that exists and people do that. But to edit someone else on their behalf for what you think they should look like is a whole other issue.
Look, so I'm not in favor of editing pictures at all and, reinforcing unrealistic standards of beauty. But if you're going to post pictures of yourself and you're editing yourself to look unrealistically beautiful, is it kind of weird to omit to not do it to the other person in the picture because it's making yourself look much more comparatively beautiful?
So, yeah, I guess if we take morality out of this and you're just thinking, like, practically speaking, if you over Facetune your face, but not the faces of your friends or whoever else in the picture, will you just look objectively much better than everyone else? And does that make people look worse? And that would be completely by your own doing if you did that. So are you doing the others in the picture a favor by editing to a similar degree as the way you're editing yourself? I mean, I think we're kind of going down a slippery slope here, and I don't like this argument of like, well, if I'm editing myself, I better edit everyone in my picture, because we don't know the real underlying motive. Like maybe this person just isn't confident in the pictures of his girlfriend.
And let's be real, it is telling the ways in which your partner is editing you to look unrealistically different, right?
And so you have to read
Yeah.
what the poster wrote, that her skin was edited to be paler, her boobs were edited to be bigger, smiling with teeth. And I'm kind of confused. Did he like edit teeth into her smile? Like there were no teeth before, she was just smiling without. How do you add teeth?
Just adds a
This is really skilled.
smiley face. He's really good at
Completely
Photoshop.
clear face, so
Yeah.
presumably like editing out any acne or blemishes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that all sounds terrible, right? And I would be upset. Although, like, now I'm thinking, have you ever
Good question.
have you ever edited pictures
This
of,
is
of
honestly
me?
a great question. When I'm editing on my computer and I'm using Photoshop for thumbnails, I do edit. So I'll increase the brightness, and sharpness is a crucial thing, I think, for YouTube thumbnails, where you want to enhance like the glossiness on the eyeballs or something, or just the sharpness of the details in the face, or even my earrings I'll sometimes sharpen just so they like sparkle a little bit
pop
more.
a little bit,
They just
yeah.
pop, but that's, to me, that's like standard basic things that any photographer would do for any product shoot. Like if you're editing out a Menchie hair, hello, I do that all the time when I'm taking my nail pictures. If there's a hair on your face or something, but I will never edit the shape of your nose or your jaw or make your teeth a different size or give you teeth that you didn't have previously.
Yeah, I guess where is the line there, right? Because like maybe that could even mean like brightening someone's teeth, for example. Is that like unrealistic, or is that still just like standard Photoshop making a picture look kind of bright and colorful?
Yeah, I think if you brighten teeth off, like I'll brighten teeth by way of just brightening the whole photo.
Yeah.
Like
Anyway,
just
so that's
by
way too
increasing them,
specific
yeah.
an example. I'm just trying to say there are shades of gray here.
Sure.
I generally think this is terrible and something you'd want to talk to your partner about.
Yeah, I would be really pissed. Like if
Yeah.
if you start posting pictures and they're of me and they're all face-tuned, I'd be really upset with you.
Yeah, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
do that to you because I don't think that's a reasonable thing to do. I also recognize that we're of a generation, we're of a vintage where like this wasn't normal at all, though, right?
Yeah, good
Whereas
point.
if you're growing up in a milieu where everyone edits all their pictures, maybe this isn't as
normalized.
weird as
Yeah.
we think it is.
That's a really good point. I'd like to think about that more, because if it's so normal for everyone these days to Facetune in the way that Facetune culture has just become the thing to do, these people are 19, right? So they
Yeah.
live in that generation of growing up on the internet. Is it almost rude for him to only edit himself and not her? Like, would she have been more upset? I mean, I would not agree, but I'm just wondering how the current generation growing up on this social media feels about it.
Yeah, so in conclusion, we're too chuggy. We need some advice from the Zoomers out there.
Yeah, for me, it's just like, this is my face. Take it or don't like it on Instagram. I
People
don't
know how
care.
we feel. I
Yeah.
think we would both rather there are more realistic depictions of how people actually look on social media.
Realistic depictions of people. I like that.
All right, next one. I'm a 25-year-old woman. My parents are mad at me, at my boyfriend, a 35-year-old guy, because he proposed with a ring pop.
What flavor was it? That's what I want to know.
That's very important. to
Blueberry,
the-
raspberry.
All right, so basically, me and my boyfriend have been dating 2 years. We live together, and we've been talking a lot over the past few months about when to get engaged and married, and this whole pandemic thing is handled. He proposed. He used a ring pop, and it's great because, once again, I like cheesy things, and I hate jewelry. We posted about this on social media because our friends took some photos of us while he was proposing, and it was great, and we posted it on Facebook. My parents are now putting us on blast and talking trash, saying that we're cheap or trashy for not getting an actual ring, and saying it's a failure of marriage that he proposed like this. I need advice. They're killing the mood. How do I get them to bug off? To add, I asked him not to get me an actual ring when he proposed because I don't want jewelry, nor do I want one when we're married.
And I think that is what's important. Is what did they want? What did the couple want? So
What's important is the parents are killing their vibe, you know?
what's not important is the parents' opinion.
Yeah, we need a vibe check.
Okay, stop.
Yeah, no. Okay, the obvious answer here is it only really should only matter to the couple what they agree
getting
to and
married,
what's
yeah.
meaningful to them, right?
So she said, I don't want a ring, and she doesn't wear jewelry, and she likes the idea of it being a ring pop. I think it's funny. I think it's cute. Like, it's a funny thing.
Yeah,
Like,
two people found each other who think that's a good idea.
and maybe that's just a part of their sense of humor in their relationship. Like,
I totally get like what I think spending thousands of dollars on an engagement ring just doesn't like it's not something I would ever, even if we cared about being married, that would seem ridiculous to me, honestly.
it also depends on your financial situation and whether or not you can afford it. Like, those people who can afford it easily maybe don't think it's as much of a burden, but for people where that is a significant burden and they're like allocating years of their paychecks to that, then yeah, like I as a economically conservative person would consider that first and foremost, but that's just me.
Yeah, what's the ring companies have come up with these rules that you should spend like a certain number of months' salary on an
Yeah.
engagement ring, and that's just all bullshit, right? Like,
Yeah, that makes me cringe, just the idea of thinking of it in that way.
yeah, I don't want to play devil's advocate just for the sake of it, but the only thing that kind of makes sense to me in this scenario for the parents is that, like, I think you want to know, maybe this is a very traditional and heteronormative way of looking at it, but I think you want to sort of know that your child is getting married into a situation where they have like financial independence or
Independence
stability.
on their part, though. That doesn't matter what the other party is, right?
I'm not sure how exactly to put this, but like the knowing that the person getting married was able to afford a nice ring is
just a
kind of
symbol.
a sign, though, that they have money
But that's
and they could
bullshit.
support their
Like,
daughter, right?
okay, I understand where you're coming from, but I think that that's, when it comes down to it, bullshit. Because a lot of people will buy a ring and go into debt and rack up credit card debt to buy the ring that their spouse to be really wanted. And that is not a sign of a healthy financial situation necessarily.
No.
So
but
if
them
a parent perceives, I think
Yeah.
it's just a status token. And that's why this isn't a meaningful sign of like financial security. And also financial security coming from, hello, independent woman speaker right here, shouldn't depend on what traditionally in this context, the man is always the one who buys the ring, right? It's not to be seen as a symbol of how much money the man has to give the family. Like, to, here you go, like, wife, I can afford this and for our family. I reject that. I always have, and we've just spoken about this before, but I think it's so old school to look at it that way as like a meaningful symbol of anything. And I think it should be nothing more than what two people agree upon and whether or not their finances support it.
Yeah. I would just, if I'm a dad and my daughter's getting married and the guy
If
proposing,
Menchie were getting married.
if someone was proposing to Menchie and they could only afford a ring pop, I might be a little concerned about the future they might have together in that relationship.
But if they're happy. But wait, are you concerned about Menchie's prospective spouse, or are you concerned about Menchie not even having enough money to support herself
That's right.
as a young independent woman?
I would have liked to think I raised Menchie as an independent woman, but
To make her own finances,
I know
not to
Menchie,
rely on
Menchie can't take
right.
care of herself.
Okay, but I think in this situation, it shouldn't be about the financial history or records of your child's spouse. Think about your child, I guess.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I'm just
You're
fooling
just
around.
being an old dad.
Being
Are you wearing your dad jeans?
I'm wearing shorts.
You're wearing dad shorts? Oh my god, costume change.
Showing some leg. Next one. I'm a 19-year-old woman. Should I tell my boyfriend, a 19-year-old guy, that I sneeze when I'm horny?
Should you tell him?
Yeah, so I have this weird condition where I sneeze when I'm aroused. Yes, it's a real thing. Lots of things can trigger it. I've never told anybody about this because why would I? Anyway, so when I first started dating my boyfriend, I kept sneezing like crazy. The slightest thing would trigger a ridiculous sneezing fit. I would just blame it on my allergies, but one time we were making out and I sneezed on his face. I still sneeze a lot around him, and a couple of weeks ago he was very concerned and asked me if we should do anything about my allergies. He was Googling about it and even bought some nasal spray. I wanted to tell him the truth but felt too awkward. I know that it shouldn't be awkward now that we're in a relationship, but it still feels like maybe I shouldn't do it. I feel like it's gonna be weird.
Maybe. Hey, I'm not a doctor, but maybe she's allergic to her boyfriend.
Yeah, first of all, I have like no idea if this is a legitimate thing.
I mean, you sneeze all the time.
And have you noticed I only sneeze around you, Cristine?
No, you sneeze around Menchie. Wait, what?
That's wrong.
Because you're allergic to cats.
So I recently did allergy testing.
Yeah, that's
actually.
right.
Yeah, I'm allergic to trees.
All
All the trees.
But you're not as allergic to cats as you are to trees, thank God.
This is true, but I think I'm surrounded by more cats than
Right,
trees.
so we can have more cats, we just can't have more trees.
But actually, all of that was a lie. The truth is that this is actually me in this scenario. And every time I'm around you, I'm sneezing uncontrollably.
You sneeze when I'm not home, though. How do you explain that one?
I'm thinking about you. Wouldn't this be flattering to be told? Like if I told you I'm sneezing all the time just because of how beautiful I find you.
I mean,
would you be weirded out or kind of flattered in a way?
I don't think I'd be weirded out at the fact that you sneeze, because sometimes maybe there's just like a bodily response that you can't control. And if this is related to a medical condition, I don't think anyone should be shamed for it. I would just be concerned with, like, does that mean you're just horny all the time, every 10 minutes of the day? Like, I'd be like, what?
Well, actually, maybe that's even, if your tell is that obvious when you're in the mood, it's almost like a problem. Like, hey, you haven't been sneezing much lately, and we've been hanging out a lot.
Yeah, it's like too telling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No mystery to
I could see that being
the
a
attraction.
bad thing.
But yeah, I think you would. I don't know what the answer is here. I think I would probably share it with my partner if this is a real thing.
Yeah, I think you should share with your partner, like, if that's the question. I also think you should ask your doctor, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, you should maybe just make sure you're not allergic to something and you're wrong.
Hey, do some allergy testing and rule things out. It's always good. I've done it. Ben's done it.
All right, next one. I'm a 31-year-old woman, and my husband, who's 34, is obsessed with grocery store prepared foods. We've been married 9 years.
Millennials.
My husband has recently become obsessed with grocery store prepared foods. There's a local grocery store that has a deli kitchen where you can order things like subs and pizza. We recently had a baby. And with COVID, we of course do not get out of the house as much, which I believe may be part of the issue. The grocery store is within walking distance of the pediatrician's office, and I fear my husband may be fabricating symptoms for which he needs to take our son to the pediatrician just so he has an excuse to go to the grocery store. He'll say things like, I noticed our son only had 3 poops yesterday instead of 4. I think we should make an appointment. The list of health concerns is ridiculous, like hangnail, dry skin on one arm. The baby only slept 4 hours instead of the usual 3. This is now happening 2 to 3 times a week, and my husband is accusing me of being neglectful because I will not allow him to take our son to the doctor several times a week for random illnesses that he has invented. It's clearly tied to his desire to visit the prepared foods department at the grocery store. But I'm not sure how to confront him. He gets very defensive whenever I say anything that may limit how much we go to the store. Help, I'm at my wit's end.
If this is true, I'm not a psychologist, but this really points to maybe some underlying issues where the husband in this situation just has this desire to continue checking his kid into the doctor when it may not be necessary. And that is a condition, I believe it's called Munchausen syndrome, or Munchausen by proxy, sorry. So that is something, but it looks like the wife is just seeing this as him making excuses to ultimately go to the grocery store.
To get a sub.
But I think the problem isn't going to the grocery store. Like, who cares? It's bringing his kid into the doctor repeated times a week for things that may not be necessary.
Yeah, what is the actual... If you took the kid out of it, if he just knew he had permission to go to the grocery store whenever he wanted, would he be making up reasons to take the child to the doctor?
Yeah, that we don't know.
And is there a reason she has shamed him into feeling like he can't go to the grocery store without
listen, if you have shame to go pick up prepared foods from the grocery store, you don't use your kids and fake doctor's appointments as a reason to go there. So, number 1, there's a huge red flag with this story. Yeah,
this is bizarre.
Just on the surface. But this is the wife's interpretation of it. And her reading of it is that the husband brings the kid to the doctor too many times as an excuse to go to the grocery store. I don't know what the truth is, but I see many problems.
Yes. I feel like we should be able to separate out these things though, right? Are they just disagreeing about how sensitive they need to be about having a newborn baby and how often you need to see your doctor if something is at all weird or different? Or is the issue that like I almost, maybe I'm reading into this, but I almost get the implication that like she thinks it's a bad thing he's always wanting this prepared food. You know what I mean? Am I misreading that?
Maybe he doesn't like her cooking. I'm just kidding. Maybe, I mean,
Maybe he's not taking the kid to the doctor at all.
yeah, maybe he's not going. I would just ask your partner, like, if you leave the house quite often to go get groceries, but that's because we need to eat.
Yeah, but I don't say, oh, Menchie has to go to the vet. She didn't poop enough yesterday.
Yeah.
I need to buy more hummus.
I think the moral of the story in all of these things is talk to your partner to get at the root cause, right? Like if she just asked him what was up and also expressed concern for taking the kid to the doctor maybe too many times as necessary, or maybe offering to come to the doctor, I'll take the kid to the doctor instead, then see what's up. Or say, let me go pick up that prepared food.
Mm-hmm. You're right. This probably has more to do with like the anxiety of having a newborn child and
yeah.
That than it has to do with subs and pizza.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. All right. Next one. I'm a 26-year-old guy. My 26-year-old girlfriend stopped talking to me after I called her one-day-old nephew a boiled potato. I've been in a relationship with my girlfriend for 1 year. Just like every relationship, we have petty fights and makeups within an hour or so. But from the past 5 months, we are in a very long-distance relationship. We talk daily and text throughout the day. But when there's a misunderstanding or disagreement, it takes longer and longer time to resolve. Her sister-in-law gave birth to a baby boy a couple days ago, and she sent me pics, and later on a call she asked me like what I thought, how he looks. I said, it's just been a day since he's born. He just looks like every other one-day-old baby, like a boiled potato. I meant it in a harmless way, but she got really offended and angry that she cut my call and went off. I was kind of confused and hurt, so I waited for her to call back, and she didn't, so I went back to work. After 2 hours, I had 3 missed calls and a text saying bye. I haven't heard from her since then. No texts, no calls. Did I get dumped? Anyway, I need some advice on how to handle this. P.S. This is my first relationship, and my girlfriend has been in relationships before. Reading this, like they're 26, it says.
Yeah.
Is that a typo? Is this like 16? Like... This reads incredibly immaturely,
some people don't have
right?
their first relationships until they're in their 20s, and maybe it's someone who's not
Sure.
experienced. I think this is just speculation. I don't know, but it's possible that although we're led to assume that the girlfriend in this situation overreacted, I think maybe it's possible that she reacted in that way because what he said to her maybe was an indication that he thinks kids are ugly or that he doesn't want kids with her. Maybe that's how she read it, and maybe there's more information about their relationship that if we were aware of it, it would make a bit more sense. That's just speculation.
He also seems to be suggesting that their relationship has been deteriorating, getting worse. The silences in between petty bickering sessions is getting longer. I think sometimes people are just sort of looking for an excuse to end a relationship,
and
right?
it could be a compilation and a building up of events that has resulted in her just deciding, you know what, never mind. So it's not just the fact that he called her nephew a boiled potato, but maybe there's like a history of events that maybe signaled he wasn't interested in children or having children with her, and maybe she's sensitive to that because it's something she wanted or was looking for a future with him for. So we don't know. That's kind of my reading of it.
Yeah, because like babies are
objectively they look like boiled.
Weird looking, right?
I mean,
boiled potato is a weird
taking
metaphor, but
stepping back from the other complicated aspects of this relationship that we just don't know. I mean, I think babies all kind of look the same when they're born.
Yeah,
right?
They do. I mean, well, some of them have more hair. Some of them are more like raisins and wrinkly than others.
They're like aliens is kind of what I think of. Like little shrivelly aliens.
You have like no maternal instinct.
But here's the thing. I also realized that I would never say that to a new mom or someone who like really cares about a particular baby. I would never look at them and be like, your baby looks like an alien. Like I wouldn't, that's a boiled potato baby to me. Like I wouldn't say that to an individual baby with their guardian or someone who really loves them right there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's like that Seinfeld episode where like they go Do you know what I'm talking about? They introduce this baby and like, isn't this baby breathtaking? And I guess it's just like,
Breathtaking? That's
it's
a
just
weird
an
word.
ugly baby. And like, no one wants to admit like it's just a really ugly looking baby.
What's an ugly baby? Like what?
I don't know. There's no like objective standard of this, right? But like, there's this expectation that everyone will just positively respond to a
Yeah.
baby, right?
Yes, you are absolutely correct. That the expectation is if you hand someone your baby, they better be like, I love this baby. Which is not fair, but yes, I'm biased. I don't want children. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I'm also just not interested in other people's babies. But it's no shade to them or their decision to have babies. And I would never ever say or insult a baby. I would never insult a baby to a baby's face, just like I wouldn't insult a human to their face.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
important.
I think like babies aren't like, when does a kid start getting interesting? When they
When they
start
can
having
talk?
like thoughts and
When they can watch YouTube.
that's when they become
Oh, God.
valuable to people
That's
like
when they
you.
become influencers. Oh God.
Anyways, my husband, who's 28, drunk texted my 27-year-old female best friend, I'm a 28-year-old woman, saying he wants us to get together and hook up so he can gratify himself. I'm obviously mortified. What do I say to him when he wakes up? My husband went out
See you
last
later,
night
bye.
with friends. He came home blasted out of his mind at 5 a.m., threw up everywhere, all over the entryway and bathroom, and is still asleep at 6:30 p.m. At about 9 this morning, my best friend texting me with a screenshot from like 3 in the morning of my husband saying to her that, hey, you and my wife should, I'm not going to read it, should hook up so I can gratify myself. I told her I was so sorry. She said not to worry about it, but she would feel terrible if I didn't know. I still feel terrible about it. What do I say to him when he eventually wakes up? I'm mortified.
Get out.
Is that a
Get out.
Is that a deal breaker for you?
I mean, this type of discourse has absolutely happened to me and my friends when I was 18.
Yes.
This is something people would say, your significant other at the time, or just like roommates who were guys would say this.
Yeah.
Oh, can you and your friend just, hook up so I can watch? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's part of a gross culture that I've spoken a bit about before. So that's what this reminds me of. What I need to step back and instead of just being like get out, this is someone who is married. They are in their late 20s, almost 30. And it was, I guess, an exceptional evening that isn't regular behavior for them, although I'm not entirely sure. And it was, he was entirely intoxicated, which is not an excuse.
No.
Not an excuse. But I think you probably have to consider things differently in this relationship than, a 19-year-old who, if you get that attitude, you can easily be like, bye.
Yeah. I guess you're married. You don't want to just trigger divorce, right? Like I guess
I'm still offended, though.
Well,
I'm very offended.
And I think an important question in context we don't have is like, is this completely out of character and like a one-time crazy mistake? Or is this just a reflection of how this person actually is?
And maybe the culture that their friends exhibit. A lot of toxic masculinity culture is, hey, girls, get together. Let me see you play, so I can satisfy myself. And I think that is just gross.
Yeah. Unless you have a relationship where it's like normal to joke around and talk about stuff like that, which is clearly not the case here.
That's clearly not the case. She's mortified. She's disgusted with him. And it was her best friend that he was proposing this, which is like, how do you move forward from this? Just knowing that your husband, the person you love, have been married to for I don't know how long, just said this about you and your best friend.
It's the kind of thing you
What
could
happens
never
the next time you're all in the same room
forget.
together?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
Yeah,
I have trouble picturing, like, well, what's my husband thinking now? Like, after this, I'm just hanging out with my friend. Is he just picturing us naked together? Like, I would be incredibly disappointed if you ever said this to me. But I know you wouldn't, because you're not like that.
Our monkey brains go weird places sometimes. No, I'm
It's
just
not an excuse.
When he wakes up, I think you say, hey, I texted your best friend Rick, and I asked him if I could watch you guys jerk each other off.
You know what? I'm not mad at that one. I like that one.
It's funny, like if you
That's
reverse
funny.
the genders
Do
here, it just seems like so... Yeah, what is
It
with
seems
this
great. That's what it seems.
fetishization of lesbians to straight guys, right?
It's been like that for decades.
Yeah.
That's nothing new. It's just sad when that comes up out of the blue like this, when you think you're in a committed relationship with one person in this case, and he's like, "Hey, your best friend? Yeah, let me see that." It's like, excuse the fuck me. Yeah, I would be like not impressed.
Yeah.
But I like your idea.
Well, maybe he wants a more, there are people in like polyamorous.
Yeah, but you don't do this. You don't
This
spring
isn't
it
how
upon
you-
someone and drunk text
I
them and
know,
say
I know.
this and imply like, do this for me, like randomly. No. You
Mm-hmm.
have an adult conversation about it if that is a conversation you actually want to have. Maybe he was just like drunk and thinking about this as a temporary satisfaction thing, and it's not actually what he wants to do to their relationship.
Men.
Hate them all.
All right, next one. Godzilla is not a stupid monster.
Who wrote this?
A 23-year-old man with a 22-year-old girlfriend. He says, me and my girlfriend are having a discussion about the new movie Godzilla vs. Kong. I am trying to convince her to go to the cinema with me, but she is reluctant. She's actually kind of geeky. She loves Marvel movies a lot, so I thought she would like the spectacle of a Godzilla movie, but she is not into monster movies. I'm a big fan of Godzilla, and lately I've been really hyped about the new movie, so I've been explaining the heck out of Godzilla lore to her. Things like why he was created, what is his purpose, and why he is what he was representing.
What is his purpose?
She said, "It's just a big lizard. Godzilla is a stupid monster," quote. "We've been together for almost 3 years now. I don't want to end it because of that, but it's going to be hard for me to live the rest of my life with someone who thinks that the best monster ever created is just a big lizard. She thinks I should just let it go and respect her opinion, but I know her opinion is made only by surface level information. What do you think I should do? This person really cares about Godzilla."
There are many passionate people who have very passionate things that they care about. And I feel like you're not always going to meet someone with the exact same passions as you. And so long as you can, if you choose, if you like each other's company and everything else about each other, I don't think just the fact that you don't have an overlap of passion for one particular thing should preclude you from being in a relationship.
Yeah, I think you want your partner to respect your interests, but your partner doesn't need to share your interests.
Like me and Holo. I'm obsessed with Holo. I always
Yeah.
have been. But Ben doesn't really care about Holo, And
Don't tell them.
There was times where I questioned, like, do I leave him? What am I doing in this relationship?
I said, it's just plastic glitter from a factory somewhere in New Jersey.
It's not glitter. It's Holo.
I mean, you need some common interest with your partner just so you have things you can share and experience together.
Objectively speaking, to have a passion in a very particular movie with a particular character is so specific that you can't expect the average next person, if you take a random sampling of 20 people, to have that same interest. So I think statistically speaking, it's unrealistic for him to expect that his partner have an interest in the specific passion that he does.
Yeah, but couldn't she at least respect that Godzilla is really an allegory for the proliferation of nuclear technology?
Is that what it? Are you explaining a movie to me again?
I think this is the case, that there is like...
Please explain the next movie to me, Ben.
I don't want to explain another movie. I don't think he's wrong that there is like an interesting sort of backstory and that sort of context of the Godzilla movies.
But not everyone has to care.
They don't have to care, but for her to just be so dismissive of it, to me, just maybe you care that your partner doesn't have the same sort of curiosity about things as you do.
Yeah, but like you really like hockey, and I do not care. Mm-hmm. Do you wish that I cared? Are you sad that I don't care?
I've dragged you to hockey games.
I painted my nails at the hockey
And I
game.
thought it was nice of you to indulge me by going with me.
And filming it.
But really, at the end of the day, this is just a reminder. It's important to have people in your life who aren't your partner you can share in other passions with, right?
Yeah, like friends. So maybe, I'm sure, there's got to be an online community of people who stan Godzilla.
Yes, I'm sure
Godzilla
they exist.
stands. Where are you at? Comment below. Find this guy.
So, Cristine, is Godzilla just a big dumb lizard, though? What do you think?
I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, like every other movie.
That's what we learned on a recent podcast.
All right, moving on. My hair is really curly. I wash it and deep condition it every 3 days or so. I do my routine and then begin to straighten it. As I'm doing my hair in the living room, my husband keeps looking at me as I work my way to the right side of my hair. I'm like, that's weird that my hair broke all the way up there, referencing a normal breakage. He keeps glancing at me. Then I realize it's not a normal breakage, but there's a clean cut in my hair. I work from home and barely even leave the house, so this is literally the person I've been around who's capable of cutting my hair.
What?
I have a 1-year-old and she can't use scissors, nor does she have the coordination to do so. So I tell him, did you cut my hair while I was asleep? He said he didn't. And I'm not going to go back and forth with someone when I know the truth, because unless a ghost can pick up scissors and cut my hair, he's the only viable option. Further, my kitchen scissors were in the master bath and I go look at them and there's a couple strands of hair in the scissors. He's passive aggressive, but this is weird. I feel violated. Has this happened to anyone else before?
I painted your toes in your sleep, but have you cut my hair?
It was a
in my
violation of my... the weird...
So wait, she truly believes that her husband cut her hair in her sleep? Is there any motive? Do we have motive? Is there an MO?
I don't... does that matter?
Well, no, but it would help explain it would go to the facts. You know, it would help explain if he had a reason, if he hated her hair being long, then I would be more inclined to believe that it actually was him.
Yeah. What would you do if I cut your hair in your sleep?
Divorce. We're not even married, but divorce. Common law divorce.
The scarier part of this is just knowing you have a partner who's willing to violate your trust in such a weird way by doing things to you while you're unconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I want to know. Like, why would he do that? Was it out of a really strange impulse to do things that you shouldn't be doing? Or was it motivated by he actually just wanted her to have shorter hair and didn't want to tell her?
Well, I've always suggested, your hair is really long. Maybe you should cut your hair. I wouldn't cut it in the middle of the night.
Cut this? What are you saying,
getting
Ben?
a little long,
Cut
dear.
off my little braid? What are you saying, Ben? You don't like my scarf?
Okay.
Anyways.
All right. Yeah. Divorce. Moving on.
I would be incredibly upset. Don't cut people's hair in their sleep.
Next one. I don't want to be the one to propose a second time after the first proposal was rejected. So I'm a 28-year-old guy. I recently proposed to my 30-year-old girlfriend. I did it at home as she said that she wouldn't want a public proposal. I tried to make it feel special. I made an elaborate meal from scratch, and afterwards I popped the question. Long story short, her answer was that she loves me and wants to marry me someday, but isn't ready to take the step to be engaged. I said that we could wait a while before getting actually married, but she still didn't want to become engaged. First and foremost, I want to say I respect that. I have no issue with her not being ready, and although I was disappointed, I'm not upset with her about it. However, a few days later, she offhandedly mentioned something about me proposing again in the future. I told her that I thought she should propose. In essence, my point is that I'd already asked. She knows I'm ready. My cards are, quote, on the table. I had already planned and executed a proposal. I put a lot of work into it to make it sentimental, and I don't feel like I should have to recreate that moment. She disagrees and seems to feel like I'm punishing her. This is putting a lot of strain on a relationship. I'm not sure how to bridge this impasse. Any advice?
Wow, this is so interesting for so many reasons.
Yeah, I feel like as people who don't care at all about marriage, we're very much sort of
I'm looking at
out
this
of the realm of putting us in this position.
Yeah,
but...
I think there's obviously a lot of gender norms embedded in this.
Yeah.
I'm not someone who leans into that. I would probably, the way he's now pointing this out, it sounds like it's more of a business transaction, which is interesting. Because he's like, I already made my proposal. You turned it down, said you needed time, which was fine. According to him, he respected it.
I made my offer.
It's
on you
but
for the counter
you
offer.
know my offer, or I would be willing to accept, I guess. So now it's up to you to make the next move. Because otherwise, how does he know when to make it next, and why is the burden on him? So if you just take gender out of this and this expectation that women should be the gender traditionally proposed to by the man, then what? I think it's easier to deconstruct this and see it from his side if you remove gender out of the equation.
Yeah, and I think that's the rational way to. I think his position is very reasonable. I think what should happen, like, I think a solution might be to just sort of be like, it's on her to very explicitly say when she's ready to get married.
Sure.
And then if it's super important and he doesn't mind, he should just propose again
Re-proposing.
when that is,
Yeah.
she has
I
made
mean,
that clear.
I'm trying to.
That's the practical way.
Well,
But, you know.
it's the practical way if both parties do believe in the idea of the man proposing to the woman. If they want to maintain that tradition and that's something they both want to do, then yeah, that's the next practical step. Is for her to make explicitly clear that I'm ready, but surprise me, and then he goes and sets it up again. But maybe he's like frustrated with him having to do it again. So I can also see that.
That's reasonable. I guess I'm sort of assuming that like this moment is very important to her, more important to her than him in a way.
And she wants to be proposed to.
And maybe that's sort of my
again.
bias, right? Like,
And a lot of times proposals and weddings are about the woman, traditionally speaking.
Right.
That's why all the center of attention is on you. You're the one who walks down the aisle. You're the one who gets the big ring.
that's why you hate it. You
That's
hate
why I
the
hate it, because I don't
attention.
want to. Yeah, no. And I know we've talked about this before, and I do have a bias against it. And a lot of it comes from a position of like, I hate how gendered it is. I hate a lot of that. Just like traditionally, it's about, the woman has to take the man's last name because the man's family lineage is more important than the woman. So carrying that last name, the father as property almost walks the woman down the aisle to hand her away. There's just so many elements of it that are just too reminiscent of gender inequality to me that it makes me uncomfortable. That doesn't mean that I don't respect or understand people's decision to get married in a traditional way, because that's literally like everyone I know gets married in a traditional way.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my friends are married in that way, and it's fine. It's just, it's okay to have a different viewpoint and to live your life the way that you want. So I guess in this poster's perspective, like, he's frustrated that she said no. So I find that really interesting that now he's like, well, I'm not going to do this again. Your turn.
I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, well put, Christy.
Thank you.
Next one, I'm a 34-year-old woman, and my mother-in-law in her 60s is stealing my jokes.
Oh.
I'm a lawyer
Boomers.
who does comedy writing on the side. I've been doing it about 2 years now. Part of the reason I got to do this is because of my Twitter. It's how I booked a few writing gigs, but unfortunately that means a lot of my material is public. So my husband's mom steals my jokes. I'll workshop a joke on Twitter or Facebook, and the next thing I know, her name pops up on my feed using my joke in one of her Facebook groups. Or she'll rework it into a story about her cooking or something on her own wall. And when we see her in person, especially if there's other family around, she'll bust out a couple of my jokes like she's been saving them up. None of these are just like showing off my daughter-in-law's jokes. I'm never credited. So it's not like she's repeating them, she's outright stealing them. I've mentioned that it bothers me to my husband, and while he sympathizes with my annoyance, he says it's not really worth getting into a fight with her.
Okay, mommy's boy.
I disagree. My problem is I can't block her from my page because it's public and she'd notice. So I have to talk with her, but I have no idea what to say. Like, hey, don't steal my joke seems like weird and petulant. Is there another way I can have this talk with her? Christmas is coming, and since my husband and I just did a private ceremony, this is the first time my family is meeting his family. I know the joke theft will be rampant because of the large audience, and I'd like to have the talk before then so I don't explode. Too long didn't read. My mother-in-law steals my jokes. How do I talk to her about this?
This is a problem that's tricky.
This is
and
wild.
There isn't a quick and easy solution, objectively speaking. I think this is tough. Because, first of all, we're dealing with a boomer who...
It's always tough.
It's just always tough. No. A boomer who clearly does not understand the moral copyright rules, the like underwritten copyright rules of social media use. So if you're writing a bunch of jokes on Twitter or like for her comedy club, you don't just take those people's and post them online as your own, right? That's just like against the social media moral rules of stealing jokes. Like, we know that. Anyone in a younger generation knows that. But I question whether or not the older generation really gets that.
Yeah, is joke stealing first of all, usually when you're talking about joke stealing, you're talking about like professional comedians and just like the commercial implications of that. And there have been a lot of really famous comedians who have been exposed for stealing jokes.
Yes.
And in some cases, that has ruined their careers and reputations within those professional circles, right?
Right, and you shouldn't be able to profit off of other
Yeah,
people's work.
this mother-in-law isn't like
Profiting.
stealing these jokes for commercial use.
But she's stealing them for like social use and for social notoriety and to be told she's funny.
So it's more on like this ethical level. It's super. If I were to just Google a joke randomly that pops up on the internet, I might repeat it to my friends without being like, and the source of that joke was www.dadjokes.com.
And to do that
right?
occasionally, whatever. But like this is a consistent repeating, stealing of her daughter-in-law's jokes.
Yeah, it's incredibly
And then
bizarre.
saying them in front of her daughter-in-law at family events.
Like, I can do
It's a
them
little
better.
sus.
I can perform these better than you.
I would be really bothered.
It would be like if you went to my family's place for like Christmas dinner,
And they started
my
joking
mom
about
was just
hollow.
like, "Oh, is it
It's
real
real
hollow?"
I would cringe.
That would be hilarious, right?
I mean, it would be embarrassing.
Can I tell you a funny story? You might have to cut this out because I don't want to put anyone on blast.
You always say this.
I maybe I shouldn't say this, but I once tweeted out like a dad joke that just sort of popped into my head,
Okay.
and it was like, why get blackout drunk when you could get blackout blinds? And I thought it was pretty funny, right? And it occurred to me like a few minutes later, like, did I come up with that or did I hear that somewhere? So I Google it,
Yeah.
or I type it into the search bar on Twitter.
And your mother had posted it.
No. And like a few minutes after I wrote that, some random, I won't say who, some other account posted it. Like right shortly after I had written it.
Like, was it an account with followers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything
Okay,
about it.
no,
People are
but-
going to look it up. Anyway, someone had reposted right after. I don't think they followed me. I don't follow them, but we're in like the same sort of circles of being online people. And I thought like, is that like the craziest cosmic coincidence or did someone steal my joke?
Well, did your research also find a joke before you'd posted it?
I think I sort of lost interest once I found this like
You're
crazy,
just
like,
like,
oh my
what?
God, it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, joke stealing on Twitter is a huge thing because sometimes I'll see a really funny tweet and then I'll see a smaller retweeted version of the same thing that was posted hours before, and I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
This actually is a huge issue on, like, there are enormous Instagram accounts that have grown millions of followers and have made
Yep.
a lot of money just from farming other people's content.
Curated content. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem. And then they get credit for it on talk shows because like they get interviewed by
Yeah.
people as building this amazing business, but they're just building a business
Stealing
off the
other-
backs of other comedians or other funny accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways, that was a segue. So what to do with mother-in-law?
I don't know. This
Block
sounds
her
messy.
account.
I think you need your husband
Yeah, to stop
to
being
kind
a
of
mommy's
be
boy.
on your side in this
Stop
case.
being a little bitch.
I also can kind of see the perspective though that like, is this worth getting into some sort of like earth-shattering argument over? Like, in what way does it actually matter that she does this? You know what I mean?
It's such a deliberate infringement on her daughter-in-law's like intelligence and work that I would be really upset and annoyed. I would be annoyed and irritated if someone kept doing this to me, especially a family member. Like, it's just rude and disrespectful and a disregard for your work. Whether or not she's profiting, obviously the mother-in-law is not profiting off of it, but that's not really the issue at
It's a
hand.
disrespect thing, but also as someone who has some crazy family members, sometimes I think there's just like this perspective you have where it's like, is it worth bickering and calling someone out for something if it's, you kind of find it disrespectful, but like, who really cares, right?
I see your point, but I am of the opinion that you shouldn't just take shit from family, especially family members, just because you don't want to argue with them because they're so stubborn. I think if you have something that you need to stand up for, you need to say it and you need to explain, like with peace and respect, what you think is wrong about it. And if they're going to just be an immature brat about it, then like that's their prerogative. But you don't just stand down because you don't want to deal with the problem.
I think that is the right answer. I just think
In practice, yeah.
realistically, people choose their battles, right?
I always choose to battle.
You always
Let's go, baby.
Cristine woke up and chose violence.
But nice violence in the nicest way possible.
Okay, and last one. I'm having a peculiar problem with my girlfriend of 2 years. She is a self-proclaimed witch and has been way
Water
before
marble?
we started dating. I supported this. It's kind of cool having a witch girlfriend.
It does sound cool. What does that mean?
It makes you feel protected with all her crystals and shit. But
Keep reading.
now she's using this to get back at me whenever we have an argument.
Oh, shit.
2 days ago, after a minor disagreement, she stormed off into the bedroom, got dressed in her cloak, sat on the floor with
Okay, stop laughing.
sat on the floor with a circle of candles around her, and she made a potion. It was a bunch of herbs she got from the kitchen, and she started chanting, "I place a curse on this soul-sucking man-child." I genuinely cannot tell if she's joking or not, but I get paranoid and scared, and I feel like I have to watch my back because what if these curses are real? I asked her to stop doing it, but she refuses. How do I deal with this issue?
I mean, I think that's the point. I think the point is to often have people believe that what's being crafted is true. And I think if you believe it, then it becomes true. And that's just my personal opinion and the belief in like spirits and crystals and their healing energy and all of that. If you feel like there's going to be an impact from it, then it very well might affect you. So maybe it's working. Maybe the man-child in him is scared because he thinks there's a chance that the spells his witch girlfriend is casting could actually have an impact on him. So he should be scared if he's scared.
Maybe she doesn't believe any of this at all.
She's
It's just
trolling him.
her way of controlling him.
Just fucking with him.
But yeah, you make a good point. Like, it is a controlling thing. That's how most religions work, right?
Well, it's not a controlling thing. It's a belief thing. If you believe it and you will it into, like, this is how I feel the energy is coming off of this particular crystal, this is what it means to me, and this is how I internalize it, and these are my intentions, then it will be true for you. And if you tell that to another person and they believe that you are casting a spell on them, then you're going to affect their behavior as a result, potentially, and it seems like it's working.
So what does he do? What does he do?
What does he do?
Can he cast a spell back?
I think he should get out his Ouija board and ask the Ouija. I always say that wrong. Ask what to do. Say, Ouija, my girlfriend's a witch. What do I do? And then see what it answers.
Would this be like... I think of myself as a pretty accepting person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been in a relationship a long time, and you do a lot of crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Can't deny.
I just cannot imagine I could be with someone who thought they had magic powers.
I think there's a difference between what it seems like this poster is saying is like hokey pokey potion powers and like the true spiritual religions like paganism and that kind of...
Or like Wiccans and things.
Exactly. So just to be clear,
Sure,
that's not what you're
completely
discounting
dismissive.
because there is totally, like, there is a valid religion or belief system, not religion necessarily, in some of those cultures and what they believe in. And I think the way he's speaking is that he clearly doesn't understand it. We also have no idea what spiritual connection or belief system his girlfriend has because he's not able to articulate it well, clearly. Like, he literally is just like, magic potion dressed in a cloak. And those are stereotypes, to be honest. So we don't know for real what his girlfriend practices.
Yeah. Okay, we don't have to go down this route. Like, I hear your disclaimer. We're not trying to make people feel bad for believing things. But, like, I'll be honest. Me personally, I would have trouble being with anyone who's follows any sort of religious or superstitious belief, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's the better takeaway here is that oftentimes religion, because it's so true and like close to people's hearts for some people, it can be something that if you don't agree on that in a relationship, it can
be tough,
it can make
right?
or break the relationship. Yeah. So Ben and I are both not religious, and by absence of religion, we get along on that aspect of a relationship because it's just not a part of it. But there are other people I know who have struggled. Like, I remember growing up, I had a friend who was Jewish, and her parents didn't want her to date non-Jewish men. And she really wanted to date one. And I remember covering for her
Are
to sneak out of
you
the house.
exposing her right now?
No,
20 years later.
I'm sure this is a long time ago. But some people or some people's parents really believe that this is incredibly important to who they should be with because it's a fundamental part of how you just go forth with your life and the values you have. And I think to some extent that can be true, but it really comes down to your personal decision with your partner. Definitely not your parents' decision.
There's also a difference between people who like have religion in their life. That's more of like a, we've talked about religion
like passive
before.
religion. Yeah, there's a difference between passive religion and like actively.
Do you literally believe that some guy got swallowed by a whale and that's like a true biblical story? Or do you just think there's some lessons of morality in like some holy books?
Yeah, to just like uphold certain good values about.
Yeah, although those books are full of terrible values as well. So
yeah.
Anyways,
I value the relationship.
Our relationship?
Yes, that's my religion. But that makes no sense. On this episode.
Yeah, I don't need God when I have Cristine in my life.
Oh my God. Because I command you, I tell you what to do.
Yes, the 12 commandments of Cristine. Thou shalt not paint boring creme nail polish.
Thou shalt love hollow.
Thou shalt love hollow. That's not what you can't do. It's what you have to do.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know my stuff.
All right. Apologies to Tiffany Ferg. We were going to have her on today, but we ran out of time. But congratulations on your engagement.
Was it with a ring pop?
It's not very nice. Well, whatever works for them.
Maybe it was. Whatever ring she wanted.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Happy Taco Tuesday. Are we having tacos tonight, Ben?
We are eating tacos.
We are having tacos. I love Taco Tuesday. Sorry. I just felt like dancing. You got to make the full circle. I danced at the beginning of the episode and the end.
Yeah, let's just do it. Let's go eat some tacos. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see y'all
See
later.
y'all later. Bye. Bye.